our theme for February. Our theme for February is prayer, the power of prayer. And we have been exploring this a little bit already. Last week we talked about who we're praying to, that we're praying to or as the God within us, that we're not praying to something that is separate or outside of us, that we're not entreating to something that is not already within who we are. And today I want to talk about prayer as a love song. And let me just, I'm working with a new program, so it makes it a little bit different there. So my inspiration was that song, Love is a Prayer. And I want to tell you just a tiny bit about that song. That was written by Neil Clausen, who is the husband of the music minister from CSL, Center for Spiritual Living, Kelowna, where I took my ministerial studies. And he wrote that song while I was there, and we sang as a choir. I was in the choir at the time, and we sang that song backing up Reverend Barb, who is the singer on that song. And it was a really powerful experience for me, because the idea that love is a prayer was something that I had only sort of just scratched the surface on. But it came deeper and deeper and deeper into my being as I really chanted those words, as we sing that over and over again. Love is a prayer, love is a prayer, love is a prayer. And so what does that mean? Well, what Reverend Barb would say is that every love song, every song about love is a song about God. And that's why in so many Unity centers and centers for spiritual living and other New Thought centers, you will hear a lot of music that seems like it's contemporary music that are just, pop love song types of songs that come into play as we do our Sunday services, because those songs are all about God. They can be if we choose to make them so. And so why is that? Well, let me just move on a little bit. Let's just take a look at our centering thoughts. So firstly, from 1 John, our Bible verse for this week is, God is love, and those who abide in love abide in God, and God abides in them. And I love that word abide, because what that means is to inhabit, to be in it, to live it, to dwell in it. As I dwell in love, I dwell in God. As I dwell in God, I dwell in love. I cannot be apart from it. It is who I am. It is the wholeness of my being. I fully inhabit it. And then from Meister Eckhart, let God be God in you. Let love be love at the root of your being. God and love are inseparable. And so how does this relate to prayer? Well, so of course with Valentine's Day coming up this week, the collective consciousness in, at least in North America, is really centered around love. And we think of love in that way that is the romantic kind of way. And really, that's a misunderstanding of what love is on a divine level. Love is one of the primary powers of the divine. It is one of the primary ways that God shows up. And God shows up not in loving me, but as love that I can use as a lovingness in my life. I can love outward because I am using the love of God through me. And not only that, it's not just about the warm, fuzzy feelings of love. It's about harmony, a love song. It's about focus, about expanding that which I place my focus on. Whatever I'm focusing on, I am, whether I believe it or not, in some way loving it. I am loving it into existence. So now think about that. What are you focusing on? What are you focusing on in your life? That is what you are loving into existence. So love is called a harmonizing power by Charles Fillmore. He thinks of it as a power that what we do is we create a resonance. These are all very musical terms, aren't they? We create a resonance, an energy, a vibration of love that when we meet that thing in existence that matches that, it appears for us in our life. That's why when I focus on something I don't want, when I create that loving harmonic resonance with something I don't want, I'm also seeing what I don't want in my experience. Whereas when I see that thing that I do want, when I harmonize with that, when I bring my energy into alignment with what it is I do want, I create the love song that brings that into experience. Prayer is that, right? Isn't that what we do in prayer? We are communing with God. We are communing with that divine inner self that brings into our experience what it is that we are praying for. And so when we think about that every thought is a prayer, well, every feeling is a prayer. When we think about that every thought and every action, that our life is a prayer, that we do, whether we like it or not, or know it or not, pray without ceasing. When we pray without ceasing, without intention, without an awareness of what it is that we are focusing on, we harmonize ourselves with that we don't want. But when we intentionally make our prayer a love song to that which we do want, then we harmonize our life with the beauty that we want to bring into our lives, with the goodness that we want to see in our experience around us. Let God be God in you. Let love be love at the root of your being. Eric Butterworth, of course, one of my favorite metaphysicians is Eric Butterworth. He says, I have no love of my own. My love is my attunement with the cosmic flow. Attunement. Tuning in. Another musical term. Attune. My attunement with the cosmic flow, which is centered in the great heart of the universe. It's not love that is the greatest need in our lives, but loving, giving way to this cosmic flow of love. I don't need love from outside of me. I need to be loving. And it is, in fact, a human need that we need to bring ourselves into that lovingness into the world. So, firstly, love is what powers our prayer, because the energizing attitude and aspect and vibration of love brings to us that which we choose. It magnetizes, it harmonizes, it allows that good to show up for us. But not only that, it is about the most important thing that we can learn, because it's what we are here to be. It's what we are here to do. We're not here to seek love. We are here to be love. It's the point of our existence. Another Eric Butterworth. Intuitively, within ourselves, we know that love is an inner power, not an object, meaning that it's not an object outside of us that we love. It's an inner power within us. That our need is not to be loved, our need is to love. Within every person, there's a hunger and a thirst to express love, to radiate love, to get ourselves in tune with the cosmic flow at the root of our being. We're hardwired as human beings to love. We are hardwired to give that from ourselves, to radiate that into the world. As collective beings, as social beings, we are hardwired to have that experience in our life of being able to give and serve. And we find that when we employ love within us for that highest service, of humanity, that we expand in so many ways, that we create so much greater goodness in our lives and so much more fulfillment. I think that one of the greatest misnomers, I'm going to say misnomer, I'm not sure if that's the right word. The greatest mistakes that we make is thinking that we have a purpose that is outside of giving of ourselves. That there is no purpose in anything more than what we give into life. And I'm not saying that all of the doingness that we do in life is not worthy or important, but what I'm saying is that if it does not serve the world, if it does not serve humanity, if it does not serve the planet and all beings, then it is not the fullness of who we are. This is what Eric Butterworth calls the completion, the divine completion within us. It is the highest form of our love that we are all capable of reaching to bring ourselves in service to the world in some way. And that's why when we make our prayer into a love song, we bring that energy of love into the world in a greater way. And let me just give you an example of how we can do that. This past week, as most of us will have heard, I'm sure, there was a massive earthquake in Turkey. This isn't the first time that there's been a massive disaster of some sort. It's not the first time that humanity has taken a collective breath in, aghast, and said, oh no, oh no. All of our hearts are tied together within the one web of life. We're all part of this earth system. We're all part of the infinite creator. And so when we hear of suffering, our hearts go out to that. Sitting here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, I sometimes feel like when I hear things like that in the world around me, what can I do? What can I do? Well, I know that there are certain things that I can do physically. I can give a donation to an organization that's going to help. Or maybe I could donate an item. Sometimes you can donate blankets and things like that to go to MCC, and they'll cart them over to wherever it is in the world that they need them. There are things that we can do physically to support the effort to help alleviate the suffering. That is who we are. That is what we have to give within us. But the other thing that we can do, that we can always do, regardless of how our circumstances are playing out, is that we can pray love into that situation. We can pray love into holding the hearts of those who are suffering. We can pray love into holding the lives of those people who are hanging precariously because they have been injured. We can hold love in our hearts as we recognize that some are transitioning into their next thing, and knowing that there is peace and love on their way. It's in our hearts to give. It's in our hearts to be who we are, which is love. We cannot be apart from it. And even those people, like, I look at there are some people that have a really difficult time accessing that loving feeling for other human beings, perhaps. That is a thing. But there's always love showing up somewhere within them, whether it's towards an animal that they love, or whether it's towards their job that they feel very passionately about, or whether it's towards the mathematical equation that they're working on right now, or whether it's towards some other hobby or passion, or outpicturing of the goodness of their creativity. There's always something within us that can be expressing the love that we are. Always something. And when we feel like we can't access that for another human being, well, let's find a way to access that feeling of love in some other way in our lives, in some other place in our life, because then we can bring all of that love, all of that energy, all of that alignment with our divine self into our prayer for wherever it is that prayer is needed right now. Whether it be for our own life and our own health, or whether it be for the human life and the human health, or whether it be for our planet. All beings everywhere. We have it in us to give. So love is so much more than that Valentine's Day idea, isn't it? Love is so much more than the thought of having a romantic relationship with someone. Love isn't what we get. Love is what we are. It's what we give. It's what we expand in the world when we bring the fullness of our divine life to light. One more quick quote. Actually, there's two more. This is from Paul in the Bible. He writes, if I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and I have absolute faith so as to move mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. That is a really pointed way of saying it. You notice he doesn't just say, oh, if I don't have love, I'm a little bit miserable and maybe I struggle a bit, or if I have not love, I'm not doing the best I can do. No, he says, if I have not love, I am nothing. Because if we have not love, then we are not in connection with our divine self. If we don't have love, we don't have God. If we don't have God, we don't have purpose. We don't have meaning. We're not singing our song into the world. Love is the point of our existence. Fully the point of our existence. I found this quote this week after the earthquake, and I just thought that this was something for us to end on today. It's from Jack Cornfield. This is a time for love. When disasters like earthquakes, tornadoes, and floods come upon us, how do we respond? With generosity, with steadiness, and love. This is who we are. So let's do our affirmation together, shall we? My prayer is a love song to the world, bubbling up from the root of my being,